How you doing, everybody? Long time no see. Quite a few. It's been 3 months since I made my last video. It's quite a lot been going off. I'll get into that in a bit when I get up to the site and I set the tent up. We'll have a talk about what's been happening with my life and stuff like why there haven't been any videos. So I wanted to get out and do a camp. I've got a week off work and I wanted to get out and do a camp. I've got some new equipment to test out. I've got a new tent, got a new tripod for the camera and all that kind of stuff to try out. I'm doing 2 days, doing a 2-day camp. I do some hiking around in the Peak District. That's where we are at the minute. We're at Baslow. We're at the my favourite spot, the campsite. I did go out a couple of times and try and do a stealth camp, but we had months, like 2 months solid, just rain. And where I live, it just floods really, really badly. And there was just no way to go out and do a camp. I'd work and stuff like that as well. All that thrown into the mix. But yeah, we'll get into it when I get up to the campsite, and I'll bring you back in a bit, and we'll have a discussion about. This is interesting. Yeah, you got a ram there. Oh, my new boots are getting a definite christening on this one. You can see now why it's been difficult to go camping. It's just boggy as hell. Even up here on the high ground, it's boggy as hell. Definitely going to take these boots off. We'll go anyway. Get that mud. Try and get up here. So be careful because I've got some right weight on my back. Right. There's just nowhere to go. I just got to go for it and just go through the mud. I was looking for a clearer path, but there just isn't one. So it's stuff it. Let's just go through it, get through it, and get it done. Wow. Yeah, this is interesting. Oh, let's wait. Get on this ground here, try and wipe some of this mud off. That's a bit better. Yeah, it's just absolutely boggy up here. Wow. Yep. Lovely. Nice. Jesus Christ, that was fucking deep. Try and stick close to the wall where it's a bit more solid. Start to see why they don't get many campers up here in the winter. You just can't get up to the site to this, but no turning around today, guys. Just get on with it. Just try and go up this side bit here. When I get up here, I can start whacking my boots off a little bit. Well, they're not coming in the tent tonight. This is going to make it interesting. Going down and getting water like and go through all this lot. Jesus. Whoa. It's especially difficult when you've got a lot of weight on your back. It might not be as hard later on when I've got the weight off. That's a bit better. And once you're through that, it's not too bad now. Watch this round here. It's just gotta be careful when it's like mud like that. It's last thing I want to do is break my ankle. Well, yeah, that was definitely interesting. So I think when I leave, I'm definitely not going down that way. I can actually go out the back way down here. There's another path. I think I should have come in that way actually. Luckily I picked some water up as well, so I don't have to worry about that, but it's a bit of a bog. And this is the high ground. This is the high ground, so you can imagine what the low ground's still like. We had a lot of snow, and on top of that we've more or less just had like 2 months of just like non-stop rain. I think we had a couple of days break, and then it just rained all the time. It makes it a little bit impossible to go camping when it's like that, because all the spots that I would normally go to, it's just a no-no. We've got the tent up, as you can see. It's the River Country Products. I think this is their the TP tent, pole tent. I've got some issues with it already. It's nothing that can't be solved just by getting some more pegs, but they don't include enough pegs because you have to double up on some of the pegs because they've not included enough. Like here, you've like got to put that on there when that could benefit from having a peg of its own to pull it out tight. It could also benefit from having some guidelines in the middle to pull this section out a bit, because it is a bit loose. You can see it's flapping about, and that's mainly because there's not enough tent pegs to pull it tight around the edge. Also, if you're going to get this, watch these tent pegs. They are really razor sharp on the edge. There was no string on them when they came. You've got to put your own loops on them to pull them out the ground, so watch your hands on them. And this is what I mean. You see, you've got to double up with the guidelines with the tent poles, because there's not enough. It's very loose. It's hard to get a good pitch with a tent because it just seems to be so loose the way it's constructed as well. It's like that's really tight. That's really tight, but it's loose around here. It's like flopping around, and that's as tight as it'll go. It'll do, but it was a proper faff trying to get a decent pitch on it. It really was. It's taken me about half an hour to put it up to get it to a decent pitch. And if it's absolutely chucking it down with rain and you've had a hard day's hiking, the last thing you want to do at the end of the day is faff around with a tent pole tent, a hiking pole tent, trying to get it up. You want something that's going to go up quick, easy, and it's up and you can get in it. And this is a real faff. I think it can be solved. I think what I need to do, I've seen people do this on YouTube when they've been reviewing it. There's a little loop on the top here where you can actually attach another guideline and pull it out. So that might help with like pulling out those edges a bit more. I think I might have to do that. Stupidly, I didn't bring any more tent pegs with me because I thought there would be enough in the bag. They just haven't included enough tent pegs for the tent, because look, you can see, there's one missing there. Need a tent peg for that one. All around here, and I've had to double up on this one as well because there's no tent peg to pulling that out tight as well. That's okay because that's just your air vent in there. You can't use that vestibule in there anyway, but it's just little details to help with the structure of the tent, just pulling it out tighter. These edges really, that could do with like being, this could be doing attached to that corner, so it pulls it out so it's like a square instead of just laying flat like that, because it's down here. That is down here when it should be right up to the top. That pulls that right out and forms a square all the way around, and that'll give you a better pitch. But there's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. It's it'll do the job, but it's not something that I would take hiking. Now I've got it up, and this is one of the reasons why I came out here to do it. It was to test it out and see what it was like out in the field before I went out and did a stealth camp with it. I won't be stealth camping in this tent. I think I'll be looking for something else. It's just so much of a hassle, just getting it up and sorting it out. Right, so this is the inside of the tent. So there's enough room down the side to stick your bag and everything down there. It's quite spacious inside. You've got a little air vent down there to stop condensation and stuff. And that's going to be interesting tonight to see what the condensation is like in here. That little air vent up there. There's a little loop here to put your lantern on or torch or whatever you want to put up on there. It's not bad inside. I can't grumble. There's a little pocket down there. That's the only pocket you've got. The stuff. So I'll just put a little ground sheet down in there, a little ground sheet. Put my bag and my boots and stuff on there. And obviously, when this is all sealed up, it's quite a big porch area inside here. It could just do with that little, you know, just another peg, just to pull it out so it's tight. That's all. But apart from that, it's not bad inside. Decent space inside. So the first thing I've done inside here is I've put down my British Army Gore-Tex bivvy bag on the floor, because that's not too thick and I think that is going to bleed heat away like anything. So I'm going to put this down first. I should have put my ground sheet underneath it, but I thought I'd see what it was like. I'm going to put the ground sheet in here, put my bag on it. Next thing I'm going to put on top of here is going to be the silver reflective sheet, and then on top of that I'm going to put the air mattress. So I've got the reflective sheeting down. So I invested in some new kit. Got a little mattress inflate, a little electric pump. It's quite a powerful little thing as well. Quite noisy, not something you want to take with you when you go stealth camping, but alright for camping like this. And it's got a little, obviously it's a little lantern on the bottom as well. I'll show you that later. Yeah, nice little bit of kit just to blow a mattress up. So this is my new secret weapon. It's a heated sleeping bag liner. And this thing is awesome. I've used it before. I used it when I went hammock camping, and that is a real lifesaver. You get a bit cold in the night, you just got a little button on the side, you press it and it heats up, and all you need is a little battery pack to power it. Yeah, it's an awesome bit of kit. So if your sleeping bag isn't quite up to you know, 4 season, this one makes it 4 season. I've also got a fleece sleeping bag liner to go on the outside of this one, inside an OEX 2 season sleeping bag. So we'll see how that handles tonight. Just coming down here, just a little bit of snow still on the ground. Careful on these. These are absolute ankle breakers, these rocks. Slippy, the sandstone, you can see them glistening, it's like sandstone. Very, very slippy. That's Baslow down there. A bit of a distance to go to the corner shop, innit? What I love, just being out in this. I mean, look at that. It's amazing. All the moss on the rocks, trees. This thing here, this tree. It's like that came down when we had that storm. Lots of branches on here. It's just amazing being out in the countryside. I've missed it. I've missed being out in it. Really have. Action now, guys, is to get tea on and have some beef and potato stew. It's just dehydrated meals, there was something to eat meals. Nothing spectacular today. I got some stuff from a farm shop down in Baslow. I'll show you all that stuff in a bit. Don't know whether I'm going to be doing 2 days yet or not. I don't know how this tent's going to hold up. I'm not very confident in the tent, put it that way. And from what I've heard about it not being very waterproof and leaking, that's another reason why I brought the British Army Gore-Tex bivy bag, because if it does start to leak, I'll just stick all my sleeping stuff inside that and get it down in that, and then, you know, the tent can leak all it likes while I care, so I'll be nice and snug in that. But yeah, tea on, something to drink, then in the tent, because I'm absolutely shattered now. I've been walking all day, I'm knackered, and it's time to get in the tent, settle down for a bit, and we'll talk about where I've been for the last 3 months. That's what I'm having. It is, like I said, it's the something to eat beef stew with potatoes. Just waiting for it to rehydrate a little bit more. It's a bit crunchy yet. Have that. Made myself a little hot chocolate. Won't be more. That'll keep me warm. Temperature is now starting to drop, and it's getting damp. So I'm gonna have this. Get something to eat. Have something to drink, and then we're gonna call it a night, guys. That's where the sun set over there about 5 minutes ago. So yeah, I'm not liking the look of these clouds at the minute. I'm really not confident in this tent, and the more I'm with it, the more I'm starting to see the flaws with it. It's really cramped inside. You know, if you're 5'10" or 6 foot, this isn't going to be the tent for you. I mean, I'm 5'10", and it is really cramped in there. Once you've got all your gear in there and all stuff, it is really cramped. And it's hard to get in out of the doors because of these things. They don't fold back, and I don't know. It was a good idea on paper, I think, but it's just executed really poorly. There's lots of like hiking pole tents that do this a hell of a lot better. You know, they might be more money, but that's probably why they're more money, because they do it better. I've got to admit, it does feel cheap and nasty. It does feel like something that you buy from probably Tesco or a shop like that for like a tenner or something like that. That's what it feels like. It feels like that sort of a tent. And I think what's really knocked me is the fact that they haven't included that many tent pegs with the tent. So if I took this out as is, as it came in the packet, as it came in the bag, then I'd be screwed, because you can't get a proper pitch with the pegs they supplied. You just can't. I'm lucky because I've got some shelter behind a wall, and I'm relatively flat in this area here. But you know, I don't know. Everybody's different. Everybody might find some people might find this tent, you know, to their liking, but everybody's different. That's why I don't recommend stuff or say you shouldn't buy this, you shouldn't buy that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that this tent isn't for me. That's all I'm saying. I think coming to a conclusion is, rather than having a trekking pole tent, I think I would rather just go with the bivy bag and just go out with a tarp and just sleep under the stars sort of thing, because at least under a tarp you can spread out, you can put your gear up, you can hang your gear up on a tree. You know, with this it's like all cramped into one area, as you can see, and it bugs me. It's just a personal thing with me. It just bugs me. I like to have everything in its place, and it just bugs me. I mean, I can, once I'm sorted out, I'll put all this equipment back in the bag, and it might be a bit better, but we'll see. I just haven't got much confidence in this tent. I just haven't. It's this side here. It's this side here when you pull it out, when you try and pull it taut, it just flaps about in the wind. It could do with like another guide rope on that side, just pull it out. And like I said, there is a fix to it. I've seen people on YouTube that put another guideline on that loop, and they pull it out, and I guess that gives the tent a bit more rigidity and strength, and pulls it out a bit more. But there's not much wind up here today. There's not much wind. I mean, I'm in cover. There was when I was on the hills up there, but there's not much. It's not blowing a gale sort of thing. I'm up in the Peak District, so being pretty lucky in regards to that. I'm sorry if I'm like just dissing the tent, but I'm really picky, and I like to feel comfortable, and I just can't feel I can sit down in that tent, you know, and get comfortable and, you know, chat and stuff like that. I think I've got to be outside. I've got to eat outside because I can't do it in the tent because you're like crunched up in a ball. But that's because of my size. I think it's just the wrong size for me. I think anybody smaller than probably, you know, 5'10", probably be all right in it. But with all your kit and everything, you know. Anyway, that's enough of me ranting. The light is going and the temperature is rapidly dropping. As soon as the sun went down, the temperature went down. You can literally feel it, and I'm going to put my gloves on in a minute because my hands are freezing. Yeah, it's it's getting a little bit cold now, and I'm really glad I brought that heated sleeping bag line. I think I'm going to need that tonight in the sleeping bag. Something else I was going to say. I can't remember who it was, but I was using foot powder when I was going hiking, and I was having issues with it. It wasn't really working. I was still getting blisters, and it wasn't really working for me when I was going out hiking. So somebody in one of my videos, I can't remember which video it was, but somebody recommended using Vaseline instead of foot powder, and I swapped over. I started using Vaseline, and I found a remarkable improvement in you know, not getting blisters or anything like that. It's fantastic stuff. I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody. It might not be for you, but it does cut down on that mess where you're getting powder everywhere. You know, you just put a thin layer of Vaseline on your feet, and it does the job. It really does work. It's awesome. Yeah, just thought I'd just drop that in there randomly. Right, I am shocked with how small this tent is. I can't even sit up in the tent. It's that small. It's that small. It's shocking. It's a shockingly bad tent. There is no way on earth I'm ever taking this out again. And it's just started raining as well. I tell you, if the toilets were open on the campsite tonight, I'd be taking the bivy bag down and sleeping in the toilets tonight, because it'd be better than this place. It's shockingly bad. It's a shockingly bad tent. You've literally got to get changed outside because you can't manoeuvre in here. It's just too small. I'll turn the camera around and show you. Look at the state. My feet are there. My feet are down the bottom there, and I'm touching the bottom of the tent there. My feet will be like pushing the tent up. I don't swear in my videos, but this tent is shite. It really is. It's shite. You can just see down there. It's just so small. You can't manoeuvre inside the tent at all. It's so small inside. And yeah, now it's started to rain. It's gonna be fantastic. I'm gonna have to put everything inside the bivy bag, I think, because I don't trust this thing whatsoever. It looks seam sealed, so well, this is going to be the test tonight, because it's absolutely persisting it down now. So we'll see what happens. I've been in some awful tents. It reminds me of my first ever camp that I did in that little bivvy tent. The what was it now? It was the OEX. I'm not sure what it was. It was an OEX tent, and it was tiny. And it's more cramped than that. This tent is more cramped than that one. And, you know, from the reviews that I was seeing on YouTube, this thing looked massive inside. But all I can say is they must have been really small people, because if you're 5'10" or 6 foot, this is not the tent for you. You've got to be smaller than, I would say, 5 foot. 5 foot, and you probably just fit in this tent. But it's a real struggle to manoeuvre around, because once you get inside your tent, you need to be able to manoeuvre around and do stuff. You can't. You've got to go outside and do things, and then come back into the tent. And that's not what you want when you're hiking. You need something you can get into and do your personal administration and all that kind of stuff in. You know, this is what I said when I said I just prefer a tarp and a bivy bag now. It's right. Right, guys, I'm finally in the tent. It's absolutely freezing now, so we call it night. I was going to do a bit of night vision, but it's like stuff that it's absolutely freezing out there now. Get in the tent, get settled down for the night, get some shut eye, bed down for the night, and we'll whatever. Mine's gone blank. It's fun, but it's also been shit at the same time, if you know what I mean. I'm having fun at the fact that I've just got to make do with the situation, and, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? You know, you get a bad tent. Everybody's had a bad tent. First time taking a tent out, and you realise, yeah, it's not for me. But yeah, well, I was going to talk a little bit about where I've been for the last 3 months since last made my video. It was all like a series of events, really. Firstly, it just started absolutely hammering it down for about a month, and it wasn't going out. It was like we had storm after storm after storm. There's tree fall, and the areas where I would go camping are in forests, and there was no way I was going to go camping in any forests in storms or anything like that, because the tree fall was really bad. I went and had a look round after the storms, and yeah, it's like you'd be committing suicide if you went camping in really bad weather like that. So I decided not to go. I made the executive decision, like, I'm not going to go camping in that. And then we got like a week of good weather, and I just didn't get any time off work. No time off work to go camping, and that's a big factor in things. So what I've actually done is I've actually handed my notice in at my present job. I finish my present job on the 29th of February. I start my new job on the 1st of March, the next day, and it's 4 days on, 4 days off, and it's consistent. So I know how many days off I'm going to be getting. I can plan videos around it, and that was the thing. I know a lot of channels that they do like a video a week or something like that, and I just couldn't be consistent. That's why there was videos being made, and all of a sudden there'd be no videos. And it's not fair on my subscribers, you know, they look forward to my videos, watching my videos and stuff, so it's like, I need to be consistent. I need to put out a video a week, at least, you know, to keep people's interest, and I just couldn't do it in my present job, so I've left. So yeah, we're in the middle of looking for a new house, because we rent, and our landlord, for whatever reason, wasn't paying the mortgages on a row of houses where we live, and so the bank's actually taken possession of the houses. So we can still stay there if we want to, but I don't like the situation, so we decided to look for a new house, a new place to rent as well. So I've been really busy, really busy with work and other stuff, and then I had the winter bug, which put me out of action for another month. I was still going to work, but there was no way I was going to go out camping. It would have been stupid. I had a chest infection, and it was like, can I really justify going out in cold, damp weather to do a YouTube video, which would most likely put me out of action and put me off work? And I couldn't afford to do that, because we don't get sick pay. So that wasn't happening either. So that's more or less why I haven't made videos for the past 3 months. It's just been a series of unfortunate events that have led to me not making any content. thing is, we're heading into spring and summer now, so the content will be coming in thick and fast. I want to do some hammock camping. I think that's what I'm going to do next, actually. I'm going to do a hammock camp. Yeah, so I shall see you in the morning, guys. It's about 8 o'clock at night. This is probably the earliest I've been to bed in a long time. But yeah, there's nothing you can do out there. It's freezing. May as well just get in the tent, bed down for the night, and see what the situation is in the morning. So, night, guys. I shall see you all in the morning. Well, it's morning. It was horrific. The tent is so noisy. I was absolutely battered by wind last night, and I don't know if you can see that on there, but the tent is absolutely covered in condensation. It's a condensation magnet, this thing. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try and get a torch on it. And I'll turn. You can see it's an absolute condensation magnet, this thing. Look at that. I'm not going to say that's a negative, because that's a given with single wall tents. But that's horrific. And given the size of this thing, if you've got to try and do your personal admin inside this tent, you're going to get soaked with all that stuff. This is another negative as well. To open the tent up, I've got to reach all the way down to the bottom of there to open the tent up. Well, it could have had a double zip. I mean, look out there. There's condensation all over the tent. You can see that up on there. You can just see it glistening. With the amount of air that was coming through here last night, that's appalling. You can see it on the inside of the tent up there now. Up on there as well. It's all condensation. Just dripping off the tent. It's going to be a nightmare getting out of this thing. So, as I feared, the bottom of my sleeping bag is absolutely soaking wet with condensation. And that's because it's not pulled out at the bottom enough. Like I was talking about yesterday, it's not pulled square, so the tent just hangs out over your feet. So the condensation just drips down that panel there and just absolutely soaks your sleeping bag through. So, yeah. Another negative. It's just a poorly designed tent. So I'll give my thoughts on this tent. So first off, it's an absolute nightmare to get in and out of. There's not enough room to turn around in there at all. It's wide in the middle, but it's very narrow at the either end of the tent, which is useless. That is absolutely useless. It needs to be wide, going all the way down the tent to enable you to do things inside the tent. These guidelines don't do anything. The guidelines don't do anything. They don't pull the tent out. They need to be further up. They need to be, instead of here, they need to be up here somewhere. So it's pulling it out and giving it more rigidity on that side. This all night. I mean, these guidelines are absolutely tight as I could get them. But the material, is just flopping around like mad. There's nothing. The guideline needs to be in the middle of the tent here, so it's pulling that out, so it doesn't touch the side of the tent inside. But it just doesn't work. I mean, these lines are absolutely tight. Can't get any tighter than that. It's just a design flaw, an absolute design flaw with the tent itself. Go over this again because I want to point this out a little bit better than I did yesterday. These material straps here, this needs to extend all the way up to the top of this grey bottom liner. So when you peg it out, it pulls your tent out. It pulls your tent out square. And it doesn't do that because it's down at the bottom. So all it's doing is just pulling it. It's just pulling it straight. It's not pulling it out. The like I said, the guide ropes don't do anything. They don't do anything to pull the tent out square or anything. Go have a look inside. So inside, it's an absolute condensation magnet. The condensation just runs straight down the inside of there, down to your feet. Because the guide ropes don't pull the tent out square, it just runs straight down onto your feet, which it would anyway if it was square. So yeah, and there's not enough room to swing a cat in there. If you're below, I would say even if you're probably 5'5" in height, you're going to struggle inside that tent. I'm 5'11", and I had to sleep in the fetal position just to give myself enough room to sleep, because my feet kept on touching the bottom of the tent, down the bottom, and they were getting damp because of the condensation running down to the bottom of the tent. I don't know when you'd use this tent. I really don't. It's not a backpacking tent. It's definitely not a backpacking tent, because the amount of faff that I had to go through, the amount of trouble I had to go to get this to pitch, and it said in the instructions on Amazon that it needs completely flat land. Now, I've been hiking a lot of years, and I've never really found a completely flat space to camp on. It's always been a slight incline or decline, and if that's what it needs to be able to function properly as a tent, it's not a very good design at all. Unfortunately, I won't be taking this tent out again. And again, this is all subjective. Other people might like this tent, they might have taken it out, they probably really like this tent, but it's all subjective for me. No, I won't be taking it out again. Objectively though, if you're above 5'10", then don't bother with this tent. Don't bother with it at all, because you'll not fit in it. Definitely not. To add as well, while I'm giving my thoughts, I couldn't even sit up in the tent, because the highest point is in the centre of the tent, and when you've got your sleeping mat in there, you're going to be at this side here or that side there. That's the space where you're going to be sitting up in, and you just can't sit up in it. You've literally got to lay flat as soon as you get inside the tent. And if you're trying to do stuff inside the tent, say it's chucking it down, you're trying to sort your kit out, it's a real struggle. It really is. Just hiking out now, guys. Heading home. It's been a great experience. Bit of negativity with the tent, but it's not ruined the trip or anything like that. It's just trial and error. It's just one thing that happens when you go out camping. You take equipment out, you try it out. If it doesn't work, you don't use it again. It's as simple as that. And that's why I went camping up there, because I was going to take that tent on a stealth camp and test it out that way. I'm really glad I didn't now. I'm really glad I went up there and tested it out first, just to see what it was like, because now I know it's not suitable. It's not suitable for that type of camping at all. I'll be honest with you, I think the only thing that thing is suitable for is probably for your kids in the back garden, a completely flat lawn where you can get a good pitch on it, and that's it. It's no good out in the wild like this, in the sticks, not at all. And anybody who says different, I'll have a disagreement with them. But then again, like I said, it's all subjective. People might actually like the tent, but I didn't. I really didn't like the tent. And you can't get over the objective failures of that tent. That if you're above 5'10", you're not going to have a pleasant night in that tent. You're going to be cramped, you're going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to be a rotten night. And if you've just done a 50-mile hike that day, and all you want to do is get your head down really quick, putting that tent up is going to be a nightmare. I thought it only took me half an hour. It took me an hour and a half, struggling, because every time I adjusted one guide rope, it threw the tent out at another side. It was like going round all the time trying to adjust it to try and get a decent pitch on it. Just couldn't be done. Anyway, that's enough on the river country trekking pole tent. That's what it's called. This is Dark Night Camping. Signing off. See you next adventure, guys.